everybody. This is Dr. Wickham Simons. This is Michelle Kennedy, nurse practitioner. This is the Dr. Simons Ask Me Anything Facebook Live, Monday, July 25th, year of 2022. We're open. We're taking your, in both offices today, yes. We're open, and we're taking your questions about weight loss today, as we always do. And we're thankful that you joined us. Today, we're giving away a $25 gift card to Target, and a Target gift card worth $25. And Michelle, folks need to do two things to be able to register for the gift card. What do they do?
What we're going to ask you to do is like this video, and in the comment section, comment hashtag SimonsAMA. That's what we need in order for you to be eligible to win, for watching live, a $25 Target gift card. If you see this recorded, make sure to try in 2 weeks to get in with our live show, because that is how you're eligible for this gift card, and we'll draw it at the end of the show.
That's it?
Yes.
That's it. So we got some good questions today.
Yes, very good
weighty questions today.
Yes. And if you have any that you want to ask right now and you're watching, please comment.
You can submit them live.
Ask. Yep.
Yeah, and as always, look, I mean, a lot of people watch this after the fact because they're at work or whatever. It's recorded and we post it and all of that. We turn a lot of the content into blog material, so there's multiple ways to access it. But the number of live people is somewhat smaller, so there's a better chance of winning a $25 gift card.
Very true.
So
very true.
I don't even see anybody registered yet.
Nicole and Susie, you're on it.
Okay, all right, just
Thank
50-50
you so
chance.
much.
Okay, yeah. All right, so Anna from Cary has the first question. It says, what's the difference between keto and a low glycemic diet or low glycemic index diet? Are they both effective for weight loss? And I'll take this one head on. I used to teach, really, when I first got started in this business 18 years ago. The idea of a ketogenic diet was a lot less, well, it was just called the Atkins diet back then. That's really what it was called. And people weren't using that term a lot, ketogenic diet. It was something you might hear at medical conferences, but you weren't seeing it out in the lay public, and the internet hadn't matured into what it is now. People didn't even have smartphones yet. They were doing those old flip phones, So, the idea that you could spread this information on the internet really wasn't happening yet. So these terms that didn't spread like wildfire like they do today. And so this word keto or ketogenic wasn't there. It was just really low carb diets like the Atkins diet. And then there was this idea of the low glycemic index diet. Both are effective at helping you lose weight. The low glycemic movement kind of came originally out of Australia, New Zealand, and down that way, but became popular in many parts of the world. And it was based on a system where you would rank foods by how quickly they made your blood sugar rise. So you could do a finger stick blood sugar, for example, right? So if I fed you a piece of red velvet cake and started pricking your finger every 20 or 30 minutes for a couple hours, we could plot then the rise of your and fall of your blood sugar, right? And it's based on that, using glucose as a certain amount of glucose a person would take, and that score was 100, and something like butter, which had nothing in there, had no rise in the sugar, would be 0. And so there was this number system, and anything under 55 on the glycemic index was considered to be okay. But you still had to watch portion sizes, because there was some stuff in there that wasn't exactly healthy, but because it didn't spike your sugar, I was telling the producer that these heavily meat-laden pizzas they were in the 40s so it makes them okay on the glycemic index system. But you can eat a large pizza and it's defeating. You're not going to lose any weight if you eat the whole thing, right? But if you had like 2 slices, okay, fine. The fruits that had a higher sugar content, much higher score. Vegetables had a really low score. Meats, all the things that we teach as low carb here, these things had really low scores. So you can think of the keto diet as a way, it actually is a type of low glycemic index diet. It's just one that's really low glycemic index, right? So it's all back to the same principle. We're trying to prevent you from eating things that spike your blood sugar and will spike your insulin level. Once you do that, it's easier to lose weight. Okay, so I always say, just to sum it up, we try to get you eating animals, what comes from animals, and what grows in gardens, because those things are natural, unprocessed, and they keep your blood sugar from spiking and your insulin level from spiking. And That's still the general gist. So, I was at a lecture recently where I spoke at the thing, and then the guy who came after me talked about using continuous glucose monitoring with his patients. So imagine if you have diabetes, you wear, for example, the Freestyle Libre, which you see the ads for on TV. That's one of the two kinds. Dexcon is the other one, and you can just hold your phone up to it, and it instantly tells you what your blood sugar is. So he has the patients develop a spreadsheet. They eat a food, and he has them at 15 and 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and an hour. You can see how quickly whatever it is they ate made their blood sugar, and they make a data a sheet, using like Microsoft Excel, so they know the things that cause the least rise and the most rise. If you think about the things that you like, there's probably 100 things you like to eat and drink on a regular basis. And once you know the 100, then you know what it's doing to you, right? And so they under his system, and it was not a literature-based thing, it was just something they kind of came up with. Anything that caused a sugar rise of 40 points or more within an hour, boom, it's out. You can't do it, right? So, and you'd find the things that people, his patients that ate ribeyes and eggs and butter and cheese that had very little rise. So it confirmed a lot of what they needed to know. It's another data point to track, and it's kind of like a real life example of the glycemic index system. If I eat an apple, how much is my blood sugar going to go up? It gets very personalized at that point.
Yeah, it can vary a lot from person to person.
That's right.
So the CGMs, as they're called, the continuous glucose monitors, can be really neat. And some people will do them even if they don't have diabetes because they're just really curious, want to know. Yeah,
it's a little harder. They're a little harder to get.
It can be expensive.
Yes, they're expensive. You have to have a prescription from the doctor, and you have to go through the company that makes them. And it kind of gets pricey if you don't have diabetes. You don't want to get diabetes just so you can get a monitor. So there's some limitations there. I think the day's coming, though, where this stuff will be widely available. And you'll just have it, and you can do it. And I think it's going to get really popular. So anyway, look, the bottom line is these diets can be effective for losing weight, Anna, in answer to your question. And so I think the lower on the carbohydrate count you go, the easier it is to lose, and the more metabolically healthy you will get.
Yes, and even if you don't want to lose weight, both a low carbohydrate or a keto or a low glycemic diet would be healthy for that metabolic piece. So if you're struggling with blood sugar issues, cholesterol issues, like just some weight around your abdomen, but you don't really have a lot of weight to lose overall, still a good idea to follow one of these plans to get your blood markers and your inflammation in a healthy place so you're less at risk for things like heart attacks and strokes down the road.
Yeah, I would just point out, on that, one of the things that out of that sort of line of thinking that was really evident to me was oatmeal. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that think that oatmeal is the way to go in the morning.
Yeah.
And you could not be more wrong. That oatmeal drives your blood sugar through the roof and very quickly.
Yeah. Especially the instant ones that are full of sugar. Even the slow ones, not ideal. Plus, they're very low in protein.
That's right.
We had this conversation a lot. People say, but oatmeal is healthy. It even says heart healthy on the box, right? So does Cheerios.
Yeah, I know.
That's a load of,
you
know what? That's a load of bologna, you really want to be eating a higher protein meal and something that isn't going to make your sugar and your insulin go up and leave you hungrier in an hour or two than full for 4 hours. Yeah, so that's a really excellent point regarding oatmeal.
Because we hear this every day. That's what I just wanted to point out. Yes. Okay, so thanks for joining us. We're on Facebook, Dr. Simon's Metabolics on Weight Loss Facebook Live. Ask Me Anything event, and we're answering your weight loss questions. Today, it is July 25th, 2022. Tiffany wants to know, she's got a comment, the best tips for the menopause belly, and the answer is that the minute we talked about this multiple times, the physiology of perimenopause and menopause is one of insulin resistance. And so you have to restrict carbohydrates. Yeah, you've got to bring your carbohydrate count down.
Particularly those refined carbohydrate. Again, they have that ultra processed version of carbohydrate, everything in boxes and bags in the center of the grocery store. Gotta avoid those at all costs. Thank you for entering, Tiffany, as well as Barbara and Annette. You guys are on it. It's like Barbara says, I see a lot of advertisements for meal prep companies. Sticking to a plan, is that a great way to lose weight? It's a great question.
Yes. Look, I like that.
Yeah,
Barbara,
I do too.
and because it adds structure. Yes. Many of them have healthy foods and a lot of the stuff that we teach here, and it adds structure to your. And structure is an important thing. Meal prep, right?
Yeah, it's all about preparing.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's taking care of the planning and preparation. So here's the deal. Psychologically, once you spend your money on that, I don't care. The cake's always going to taste better, I always say. Yeah. But you know what? I spent my money on that. And you almost always will eat what you spend your money on.
Yeah, there's an accountability piece there. Yeah. And while meal prepping, ourselves, for some of us is an option, for many of us, it is not, right? You are juggling all kinds of things with work and home and house, and it is okay to find a company to make it for you. And to be honest, although up front it may seem pricey to pay between $9 and $15 a meal, in the long run, that is a huge savings because there's no food waste, right? You're saving all the time and the energy.
That's right.
And if you went to a restaurant, God, the same thing is going to be $20, $30. So
I know. Exactly.
I think it makes total sense. And on our website, Barbara, we have a lot of meal delivery companies listed, but we also have some really great local options. And there's one that we even had an episode on last month. Elite Prep is what it's called. It's a local small business just like us. And they do a wonderful job of putting together meals where you can choose your protein and your veggies, and it's phenomenal. We carry it actually in the office. I'm pointing because next to Dr. Simon's you can't see, but we have a big refrigerator in our Raleigh location in the front. We also have one in our Durham location. And you can order meals from Elite Prep.
And the more that you order, the bigger the discount you get. So if you're doing a couple a day, 5 times a week, 10 meals, there's a discount, right? And like Michelle says, you can pick the what it is you want in the meals, and it's really healthy stuff, and it's very filling.
Yeah.
And it's quality, very high quality.
Very, never frozen, really delicious. So Tiffany responded, just seems like it appeared suddenly and won't go away. That happens a lot. Yeah. Things can shift and then feel like they're stuck. For sure, you're not alone, I promise. But Doc's right. Getting the refined carbohydrate in particular, but really the total carbohydrate down in your diet is going to be very, very helpful. And things like walking help with insulin resistance as well. So making sure you're keeping your heart pumping with something like that. Rainey says she's coming tomorrow. Let me put, thank you so much for being,
that's right. We'll
a committed patient. Look forward to seeing you as well.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Ericka's question. Ericka from Durham.
Is intermittent fasting safe for people with diabetes or those with blood sugar issues? Yes, with the caveat being we have to just look at what medications you're on, because if you're on a medication that lowers your blood sugar, intermittent fasting is also a therapy that lowers blood sugar. So even though it's not a pill, right, it's not a medication, it acts like one. So we just have to be careful that we're not lowering it too much. And the same thing goes for blood pressure medications, right? So
we want to go over those diabetic medications with you, because there's some out there that actively lower your blood sugar, and if you're not eating and you're taking that, then your blood sugar gets
too much.
That's not a good thing, right? So we want to go over that with you if you're on any medication like that before you decide to do any intermittent fasting. But it is, Michelle is right, that's one thing that's really going to improve. If you were to hold that medication, for example, and then do some intermittent fasting, wow, it's very, very helpful.
Yes, intermittent fasting is a very powerful tool. And intermittent fasting is something we talk a lot to our patients about. And kind of like with keto, I really reinforce that it's not this little box that everyone has to fit inside of. There's not one way to do a ketogenic diet. There's not one way to do an intermittent fasting protocol. There are common ways, right? But that doesn't mean that it has to be the way that you do it. So if you've tried fasting in a certain way and you didn't like it or you weren't sure about it, please talk to us. We can help you find a regimen or a protocol that works better for you. And the things that you need. But I have seen intermittent fasting help people with reactive hypoglycemia a lot. So that is a term that we use when people say, after I eat, I feel like my blood sugar drops and I get really shaky and sweaty and nervous and I'm hungry and I have to eat something right away. fasting, just like a ketogenic diet, can really, really help stabilize the sugar so we're not having those ups and downs that create issues.
That's right.
So Ericka, let us know if you want some help with that intermittent fasting protocol that would work for you.
All right, Tamara from Raleigh says, what are your thoughts on the new weight loss medication, Manjaro? Do you have any patients that have had success with it? So just as a background, those medications come out of the diabetes world. Manjaro is not actually approved for weight loss. It's approved for diabetes. It's expected that the company that makes it, Eli Lilly, will seek an approval also for weight loss and get that from the FDA. So those medications, they're similar to, say, wegobi, which is made by Novo Nordisk, or they're weekly medications, and the way they work is they mimic gut hormones that make you feel full.
Too.
And when that's right. So when you eat less, your blood sugar goes up less, and this is how it works in diabetes. And you also lose some weight. So in both companies' cases, the studies, they were very aggressive about the dietary intervention arm. It's done very well. And so the patients lost an impressive amount of weight in 6 months when they did medications like this. And what I would say is that you have to remember that Michelle and I don't have. We can write prescriptions for this sort of stuff for you, and but we don't have a magic bullet. I promise. If you don't, these folks had like dietitians contacting them all the time, right on top of it, managing exactly what they were eating for 6 months. And if you want to lose 20% of your body weight, for example, in a short period of time, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to manage it with a fine tooth, just right down to the fine details, and be very aggressive about it, regardless of what medication you use. So anyway, we like any medicine that helps you lose weight that's safe, right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So these, I think, are safe. There's some supply issues in the case of the wegobi, and so it's been a real problem, and we're not exactly sure when, there's a supply chain issue in the United States, in case you've been hiding under a rock somewhere. Okay, well, it's a real problem with the wegobi and the Manjaro. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if they develop a supply chain issue. I know that it got a lot of press, and so that usually causes people to run out to their doctor and get a prescription. We'll see if they can handle the demand initially. But look, it always takes the 4 pieces of weight loss. I always say you have to manage behavioral change. You got to manage nutrition. You got to manage physical activity, and you got to have a plan with pharmacotherapy. So we can help you with all those things. And whether or not the wegobi or the Manjaro are available, we can still match you with medication and those other 3 pieces. And that's the key to your long-term success.
Yeah.
So if you're really interested in that, want to talk to us about it, fine, come on in. We'll do it.
Yeah. Excellent.
But by the way, we do have patients on those kind of medications.
Yes.
Yes, we have plenty of patients on them, and they've done very well. I combine it with phentermine in many cases, and Topamax still, or Pyramate is what you call that generically. So we use a lot of combination drug therapy, which you can do with these things, and all of it helps. All of it.
Yeah. I completely agree. Yeah, give us a call. Tamara, we can talk more about that. Jaclyn from Raleigh is asking, what's the best type of magnesium to take to help prevent muscle cramps? There's a lot of different types of magnesium, and it can be really confusing. Slow Mag, I know, is one that we recommend a lot. I'm a big fan of magnesium citrate if you're also having constipation issues. I like magnesium glycinate for sleep. That can also help with cramps. Magnesium malate can also really help with muscle cramps a lot. They do also have topical magnesium, like sprays, and that can really help if it's like just your calf that's always cramping. You could spray some magnesium on there in the evening if you're waking up with the Charlie horses. What's your go-to magnesium?
Yeah, I just kind of to help you understand it. Well, I can't even say this to young people. I don't feel like I'm getting that old, but apparently I am. So, but in my day, your mother would give you like milk of magnesia if you were constipated, right? Maybe some magnesium citrate, and so in the case of milk of magnesia, that's magnesium hydroxide, and it is designed not to be absorbed, but to run through you like crap through a goose, I always say. Okay, so and it has a close chemical cousin, which is really inexpensive at every drugstore in America called magnesium oxide. And it might as well be magnesium hydroxide because it too is just going to give you diarrhea. Okay. And if you don't absorb it, what's the point? It's great if you're constipated, but not so great otherwise, right? So I don't recommend either of those forms. And so these other forms Michelle is talking about are things that are designed to move slower through your gut and be fully absorbed. And so the slow mag is magnesium chloride, which is fine. They actually put some calcium in there too, which slows it down further. And that the brand name again is Slow Mag, and I don't know, it'll run you 15, 16 dollars for a bottle of 60 pills, and most people take one a day, right? So, but the magnesium oxide, like I said, it's $5 and you get 1,000 pills or whatever. $5 for a case of diarrhea for 1,000 days in a row. It's like, okay, it's cheap, but sometimes you get what you pay for. So spending a little more is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And a quick note on that too. If you're having muscle cramps, you may need potassium as well, and sodium and water. So if this is related to a low carbohydrate diet, we talked a lot about how the electrolytes get a little bit low. It just means we need to replace them. So if the magnesium alone isn't enough, you're still having cramps, maybe some potassium. Avocados are really high in potassium, and then adding salt to your food. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
We have a question from Tiffany. Will topiramate work on its own, or do you combine it with phentermine? Often we will combine it. We do sometimes use topiramate, which is the brand name Topamax, sometimes on its own, kind of depending on each individual patient. But often we use it in combination because what we're doing there when we use phentermine and topiramate together is we're mimicking a drug that is FDA approved called Glycemic, which was approved for weight loss 10 years ago. And Glycemic has locked in doses, low doses of phentermine, so that you can't adjust the phentermine and the topiramate separately. So often we'll use them separately in their generic, very cheap forms, and it works really, really well for individuals. Topiramate's more for cravings, binge eating, and it can help with sleep. So a lot of people dose it later in the day and get a lot of benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible to not be hungry, but to still crave things. And this is the scenario where, topiramate makes a difference because, in my opinion, it blunts your pleasure responses. But a lot of these things that you find so palatable.
Yes.
Whether it be an adult beverage or whether it be a bowl of ice cream.
Or in cigarettes. I've had people, just lose their cravings for different kind of habits that they know are not really healthy for them. And topiramate can really nip a lot of those. But it's interesting.
That's right. So anyway, we have that. We use a lot of combination drug therapy, that and phentermine, and it works really nice for a lot of people.
But you don't have to take phentermine in order to take topiramate. Great question, Tiffany. Thank you for that.
Okay, so the next question is from Jacinda from Durham. I think that is it the Prime Minister of New Zealand whose name is Jacinda? I think I'm right about that.
So, no.
Factoid.
That's good.
Factoid. So this is quite a controversial figure. They've had heavy lockdowns there for a couple, like military style lockdowns. And so the populace is very divided on the matter. And so Jacinda, to my recollection, has been quite a controversial figure there. And so which is why the name stuck out in my mind. Yes. So anyway, we need to lock down the sugar in the flour. I was thinking that'd be a good public health policy, right?
I am in agreement. All the ultra processed stuff out. Lock it somewhere, put it on a barge, put it out to sea. Be gone forever.
Yeah. That is a real public health lockdown. Yeah. So you get Anthony Fauci on board with the sugar and flour lockdown, right? Or a mask that keeps you from eating it.
Right. There you go.
Okay.
Well, not that Jacinda, not the New Zealand Jacinda, but the Durham Jacinda.
Durham Jacinda, right. As asking about ketoacidosis, is this something that I need to worry about on the keto diet? Jacinda, this is an excellent question. Really glad you brought this up. So ketoacidosis, there is a similarity in the name, but it is something entirely different.
Indeed.
Okay, so when you go into nutritional ketosis from a low-carb diet, the pH of your body doesn't change. and the ketones fall within a certain range, and we call this nutritional ketosis. And it's healthy, it's good, and there's no negative things there.
That's where all the positive
yes.
things come from, is to have some level of ketones in your bloodstream.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right. So ketoacidosis will result from in most cases, a type 2 diabetic who has some sort of challenge to their body, maybe an infection or a heart attack or something. There's a precipitating event, and they lose control of their blood sugar, and they cannot make any insulin at all. And so they begin to develop this wacky state where they have very high blood sugar, excessive amount of ketones, and a change in their body's pH, and it can be life-threatening. So I'm an ER doctor by training, and I would frequently see patients like this, and it's a much different animal altogether. So when you go on a low-carb diet, you will not, even if you are diabetic, you will not go into ketoacidosis, okay? It's a different, well, you won't go into ketoacidosis unless you have the precipitating event and you're eating a bunch of sugar, for example, right? So anyway, it's just a different animal altogether. So the ketoacidosis patient needs fluids, electrolyte replacement, and insulin to bring it under control. You get that at the ER, you'll be admitted to the hospital, that sort of thing. The patient who's taking care of their carbohydrate intake and got that under control will make a small amount of ketones. We call this ketosis, and your blood sugar is completely controlled doing it that. As your lipids get better, your blood pressure gets better, all of those things. Okay.
Great question.
Great question, Jacinda. And Danny from Raleigh is the last question. Where do people lose weight first? Are there any tips for losing belly and waist fat first? Well, everyone loses a little bit different. Yeah. It's not always going to be. If I could just predict exactly where you'd lose it, I'd be the man. I'm just a man, not the man. And so anyway, I don't know. I think a lot of genetics and that sort of thing will determine where you lose it first. I want to make this point about belly fat. Okay, a low carb diet is extremely important to keep your insulin under control, because insulin drives a lot of that belly fat storage. I will say this. It has been my experience over the years that very low intensity exercise. So for a guy like you, Danny, if you got your heart rate up somewhere between 110 and 140, but not higher than that, it's like a brisk walk. Mm-hmm. This is the thing that if you'll do it for, you think, low intensity for long periods of time, walking an hour, walking an hour and a half, doing it several times a week in conjunction with this, in my opinion, is the quickest way to lose this, right? To lose that belly fat. Now, you could also do exercises like planks and crunches in addition to that. But I don't think that, in my opinion, the high intensity exercise with a low carb diet takes longer to produce the change than the lower intensity. It's lower intensity, longer period of time, combined with a low carb diet. That has been awesome. Now, we do in our Durham office, we have some body contouring. Once you're losing weight really good and have lost weight and you want to take some inches off your belly, for example, we have some non-surgical machines that can do that. And it's easy to get a free consult to see if you'd be a candidate. It's as simple as calling the office, tell them you're interested in that, and we will have a registered nurse reach out to you and schedule a time where we can evaluate you and give you just an idea of whether you're a candidate or not at no charge. So Barbara,
she loves Dr. Simon. She really loves the staff. Thank you so much.
Customer service, she said, is the best. Barbara, thank you very much. I enjoy seeing Barbara in the office. She has a smile every single time I've seen her. It's so fun to see her. Okay, so I think that wraps it up.
Thanks so
so
much.
Thanks for watching today. Wait a minute.
Oh,
we got a winner.
Gift card.
Yeah.
The winner for the $25 gift card is Tiffany.
Tiffany will reach out to you and arrange delivery of the card. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
And we'll be back, I think, in two weeks.
Yeah, so check your email tomorrow.
That's
Tasty Keto Tuesday.
Tasty Keto Tuesday tomorrow. Check out the recipes. You'll like them. Okay, everybody. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.